Hello all and welcome back to the channel. As you can see sitting here in front of me, I have my newest build. This is an expansion of 75387 board in the Tantive 4. This has been coming for quite some time, as in the set has been promised for quite some time from Lego Star Wars. It's also been coming quite a long time for me because as soon as they announced it, or we had a rumour that it was coming, I immediately thought, well, this is a set I want to improve on or make it my own more. I want to explain something about how I feel about sets and changing them. When I was a kid, getting a Lego set was a big deal. It still is a big deal, and that's the point. When it's a big deal, I don't want to make my own massive creation out of a set. I want to just expand on it a little bit and improve it if I can, and just make it a little bit more my own, but you can still see the set in it. And hopefully, with this mock here, I think I've achieved that. I want to do 2 more tiers. This is just the first tier that will go in a IKEA Besta cabinet, showing the various little scenes from the boarding of the Tantive from A New Hope. This is obviously the first bit where Rebel troopers are preparing for the stormtroopers to come smashing in through the door. So I've actually got it so this edge here is just the start of it. The explosions happened, the stormtroopers are coming in. The first one's coming in, so nobody's died yet, but the first shot is about to be fired. We've got the Rebel troopers running up, and this is the one scene. It's almost 2 scenes in one because we've got 3PO and R2-D2 who are running down the hall doing their little dancey bit because the ship is shaking all over the place. Behind them I will have U3PO, I think he's called. I thought I had him in my collection already, but I can't seem to find him anywhere, so I need to order him and get him in there. I will show you this tier in this first half, and also a part of the second tier that I've created. It's only half constructed, which is quite good because it's a good place to stop and show you how I'm constructing them. It's taken 6 sets so far. Well, I think about 5. There's so many parts left over that really is negligible how much I've actually used. It's certain parts from each set that I wanted. Because at the moment this set is on offer and has been for some time, at around $36.50 from Amazon is the cheapest I've seen. Sometimes it's $37.50, sometimes it's $37.99, but under £40 I feel is a good deal for it anyway. So you get the 5s figure, which really makes a difference. Obviously I can put a collection of them together, sell them on, or keep them for the future when hopefully they will be worth a bit more money going forward. It makes it a very good set to just part out and keep using all the parts that I need rather than buying them individually from Bricklink sellers. You also get all the Rebel troopers and loads of stormtroopers, and I have uses for lots of stormtroopers. Not so much the Rebel troopers, but I still need quite a few in these scenes I'm doing. This was the no-brainer really. Buying all the parts on Bricklink is not cost effective at this time. So anyway, yeah, let's get my face out of it and get into the build a bit more. So let's look into this display in a little bit more detail. As we know the scene, the stormtroopers are bursting through, the Rebel fleet troopers are trying to stop them, which, as we know, is a pointless task. 3PO and R2 are running away, crazy down the corridor. I mean, they're slightly different scenes, but my idea was I've got to get, I think there's about 8 scenes I'm doing total, and I have to get them all in these 3 tiers. The idea was to put 2 together, and it's kind of separated off a little bit from the main melee of the stormtroopers flashing in. I did toy with the idea when the stormtroopers have burst in and there's Rebel fleet troopers dead everywhere, but I kind of like this, the very first scene, so it makes more sense for me to do this one. How did I construct this? Well, it's in 2 parts, and I have used as many techniques as I can that make sense from the original set. So the first one was I left the Technic piece in there so that I can join them together. I'm not doing it at the moment as I'm moving it around so much, and when it is joined together it's quite a hefty, cumbersome thing. And also to get it in and out of the cabinet it's awkward, so I think I might not actually use them. I might just leave it separate. So as you can see, I have changed everything. It's lovely looking backs of these. That's what I like about the Besta units. They're not completely glass, they're only glass on the front. I can use up filler brick, I can get rid of rubbish bricks, and you don't see it. And it's an easier way of building, I've got to be honest, because if you have to see all sides of the building, then you have to use good bricks all the way round, and it has to look correct all the way round. Anyone who builds modular buildings knows this. I've carried on with the layers as they had it. We have the diorama type base. Well, actually, so they didn't have the diorama base. They had just light grey, light bluish grey going into dark grey. So one brick, one plate. I added a black base and the diorama type tiling all the way round. I have checked it in the Besta cabinet. The only thing is this does overhang, so I'm not 100% sure whether I will be keeping it and going back to just the grey so that it hasn't got quite so much overhang. I'm not sure. I'll have to play with that. I've used as many bits as I can to keep it as similar to the set as I can. You've got all the tiles, you've got all the walling is exactly the same. These overhangs, the stickers. This grey part I wanted to keep because it is such a major part of the original build. These doors I wanted to keep exactly the same, and we're going to light them up as well. The panelling I've kept all the same. I've changed the design very slightly, as in sometimes you have 4, sometimes you have 2, but I think it is actually the same, so I'm not even sure whether I did change that. But anyway, the flooring I played around with. I mean, I haven't got flat tiling, huge flat tiling, so I just played around and made a nice design, keeping plenty of studs on there to put my figures because there's plenty of figures. On this small part we have the doorway sign. I changed out the little bit on the top there and added a nice little grill part, basically because around here I wanted to keep the little mechanism so I could open and shut it, but the problem was it wouldn't fit in the cabinet. This is the only bit that remains of that mechanism. The doorway is the same. That should be easy to light up. I also wanted 2 studs all the way around the building as much as I could. I've achieved that here. I've achieved it at both ends actually. I didn't achieve it on this side here. It's almost like it's been cut straight across, but I was okay with that. I played with it and I'm not sure, but the more I looked at it, the more I liked it. I also didn't get these exactly the same. Originally I was going to go for exactly the same here, but I thought it was too similar. As much as I like similar, it just didn't look right. It wanted a bit more bulking out this area here, so I added in this extra bit, which obviously took it to the edge of the base of the diorama, and it kind of worked out. So I was all right with that in the end. I've added details as they had throughout, as you can see. Well, this part here is more or less very similar to the original set. I think the only thing that's changed really is the base, the shape of it. I wanted to do a different shape just to make it a little bit different, make it my own. And the doorway, because the doorway, it wouldn't fit, so it was just a necessity taking out the Technic stuff that's not really needed in a diorama display set. I kept the white tiles across the mock, and as you can see I added a lot more to match this side and obviously finished that off with tiles. So I've got some stud work that I've left. I think it really needed the stud work. If you smooth it all off, it looks just too smooth. Funny as that is, but that's how it kind of looked to me. The other thing was I didn't manage to quite, I don't know if you can see it here, is to get the same flat detail here. I had to have an overhang. I think it was because of the amount of studs I had left. I can't remember exactly the detail, but it doesn't look bad in any shape or form. I quite like it actually now. It may actually look nicer than that one. I wanted to keep it, I think that was why it was. I wanted to keep it 2 studs, exactly the same as that side. So there were compromises along the way and there were innovations along the way. I guess that's the same as any Lego designs of your own. Figures we've touched on, they speak for themselves. I wanted at least 10 Rebel Fleet Troopers. U3PO, I think he's called U3PO, he's coming. He will go in the background there. Also, he wanders off to the side, doesn't he? But I'm just going to put him in there. Oh yes, the one thing that I really need to show you, which is a bit of, I wouldn't say a disaster, but boy, it took some time. The way they built their bases up were quite simplistic. When I tried to do it, it didn't work. It fell apart so much. So in the end, I just stuffed plate after plate after plate, building up like a solid brick. It's almost the same way as I've done my minifigure or clone stands that I put in the Besta units. I'm not sure whether that's the most efficient way going forward, but it is what it is. I can also use up a load of rubbish plates that I have underneath. So let me show you. Yeah, plate heaven, look at it. So there's a lot of yellowed greys in there. I think there's some whites, you can see that one. And I'll show you this other one. Look at that. There is some solid bricks in there as well, but I find they're not so easy to use. What is frustrating is sometimes you get the levels wrong and you press on it and the whole thing collapses on you, and that happened to me more than a couple of times. It has taken a lot of playing around with, but I'm really happy with how it's come out. Oh yeah, one more thing. Yeah, the angle base, we did touch on that. I did try using the bricks, but I don't think they were the right angles. Luckily, by pressing all those angled plates together, we got a nice effect. I think I need to get it lit up and show you the next phase. I can also show you the next half a tier that I've created. So this is phase 2, or tier 2 if you like. It's a different shape. It's got to accommodate 3 different scenes and I need to break them up ever so slightly. As you can see, I have run out of various colours and I realise I need to make these arches different colour to the white anyway. So the idea is these arches will be dark bluish grey and the slidey bits, or the door, blaster doors, whatever they are, will be white inside. Proving to be a little bit tricky because I'm working in limited space and trying to keep it quite similar to the original build. You've got the same panelling, you've got the same doorways. You've also got the same Technic bits, just in case I want to join them as and when. I haven't put the black border around yet. 2 doorways exactly the same. This area here will be where Darth Vader's holding up Antilles. You've got stormtroopers guarding various places. There was quite a big gap between the doorway here and another doorway. And this scene here, as you can see, I'm doing a bit of a curved archway. And that is because in the scene where after the shootings stopped, they've rounded up all the rebel fleet troopers, the stormtroopers have, and they're marching down a corridor. And they're actually coming from the other way. But because of the way I'm looking, the point of view into the cabinet, it made sense to do it this way. Now, I have done it very slightly different on the other version because, as you can see, I used these little corner bricks to give it quite a tight turn. On this version, I wanted to have a bit more of a slow curve. I haven't got enough of these slopes yet, so I have to order them in. I've used these as placeholders, but as you can see, it's built up almost the same again, although I'm using stepped these pillar bits to give it that curve around. I might add one more here going forward, I might not, I haven't decided. I keep looking at it and changing my mind which way to do that. At the moment it's completely rectangular. I haven't decided if I'll definitely keep it like that, but I probably will to make it different to the top tier. And then hopefully the bottom tier will be different again. We've got the flat tiling off, which I'm quite happy with how that's come out. This time I've got single walls. I wasn't going to do that, I was going to do the double walls. I did have the archways here up to here as well, but it did close off a bit too much of the area and we want to see in it when it's in the cabinet. So I thought I would just have this one bit with the archways there. We have the detail as it is in the other ones. We have the detail there. Now I haven't put it on every wall, I've just sort of spread it out a little bit. The same with these grill pieces. These have proved quite a challenge to do because often I put a different colour piece underneath and it shows through and I have to take it all apart. And I wanted to keep it the same. So yeah, also the actual spacing. I've got, between the archways, I've got 7 studs and it is a pain in the backside. It really is. For whatever reason, I did it on the first version and I had to carry it on this one. I wasn't prepared to pick the whole lot apart on the other one and change it to make it an equal number. But I've made it work. I've also had an awful lot of these tiley bits, this panelling, to keep it in the same vein as these bits on the ends. It made sense to me to just keep it all looking uniform. It's all the same ship, it's just different corridors, different places. So there can be some slight differences, but I didn't want to make it too different. So this, like I said to you, this is where they marching around the prisoners. They will come up to this point here. The 2 droids out in front. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about the cone-headed sort of droid. The only thing I can think of is the Christmas droid, green one that come a year. So I might be sticking him in there. He might look okay, he might look a bit silly, but I'm not sure. Then this final scene on this end of this tier, there'll be another archway coming out here with the blast doors. From the point of view from the film, there's 3 archways, but that would bring it right out here, so that's not going to happen. I'm quite happy with having 3 sets rather than 4 sets. and Princess Leia is putting the disc into R2 in there. This will all be lit up red with the lighting kits. I think that'll look really good as you look down through there. I had to bring this wall out because of these archways here. It did overhang these slopey bits, but because the blast doors come out, you don't really notice it quite so much. As you can see, it's built up a lot more with plates, and you have to bury it underneath the top layer. So there's a lot of work that goes on underneath there, and that's why I'm finding it quite tricky. Experienced builders might find it very simple, this sort of work, and they would do it with Technic, or they would do some other techniques. But as I'm sitting here talking to you with this build, this is one of my biggest builds that I've done on my own. That's not on following instructions, so I have to work it out as I go. I'm sure as I do more projects, more builds, I will learn a lot more techniques, and it might become a lot easier and things might become a lot more stable. As it is, I'm finding my way through it, and it's turning out okay, to be honest. Hopefully I can get it lit up, get it into the cabinets, and it will be a really good display overall with all the little main scenes lit up. I would like to thank MixABrix for sending me over these 3 light kits for the Boarding the Tantive set. I have used various parts of these to light up my display, or the top part of the display, the top tier. And I will show you just in a second how that looks. But let me tell you a little bit about MixABrix. They are a company I've used in the past. They were very efficient in sending me out the kits when you buy them. I thought their system was very good. The only problem is, and I think this will go for all companies and all light kits, is they are fiddly. There are tiny wires, tiny elements, and it doesn't matter how you try it. It's fine little things pushing together. I feel that the more you do it, the better you get at it. The same as Lego, building Lego sets. So it's one of those things I just have to persevere with, and hopefully over time it will get easier. That being said, I've managed to do them all. It's just the time it takes, and the fact that you have to take the Lego set apart or the Lego display apart to get these parts in. Obviously, if you knew exactly what you're doing, and hopefully I will do going forward because I'm starting to get to know each individual element, I would be able to put them in as I build. So thanks again for MixABrix. Remember, if you want to actually use MixABrix products, you can use my coupon code, which is MixABrix01, or you can use the affiliate link, which I'll leave down in the description, and you will get 25% off your order, which I believe is more than other offers they put out there. So it definitely is saving, and it will help me out a little bit. Well, it works. I got the first few bits plugged in, and I thought I'd better plug them into the electric and see what happens. And it all works. This one flashes, as you can see, and these guys light up on the paneling. I'm not going to lie, this was tricky. Yeah, it took some time to do. Obviously for me, this is now a custom set. It is somewhat different to set as it comes standard out of the box, but it is still much the same when you take it apart from the back wall was reinforced with lots of coloured bricks. These instructions have proved invaluable. Well, so far I've not come up against one problem. It's been crystal clear on the instructions, so I cannot fault them whatsoever. Anyway, I will now crack on and put this bit back together and start on the next part. So here we go. I have MixABrix lighting kits, or parts of the lighting kits, up and going. I also have an IKEA light which come in this Besta cabinet, which isn't the best. It's a bit of a warm orangey light rather than a bright white light. As you can see, it doesn't come down lower than that. It's not really made for all these massive displays. I think it's just literally a gradual light, but I intend to light up all the way round with a bright white strip light. So when I don't want the individual lights on, I'm not even sure there will be a time I don't want the individual lights on, but I like to have the option of having just a white light all around the cabinet. But I can also turn off the cabinet light and put these MixABrix lights on, which to me look really cool. Let's turn off this IKEA light and see how it looks without them. You can see the 3 types of light I've got there. The flashing door, so where they blow up the door, the panels which are lit up in red, and I've got the 3 doorways which are overhead lighting. So I'm going to zoom in for closer looks in a minute, but hopefully you can get a good overview look at that. Before I do go in closer, let me just say these wires I'm going to be hiding. Now, I want an idea from, maybe if you can, down in the comments, what I can do to hide wires and give it a background. I've had two thoughts. I can make a bit of a brick background, but that's going to be a bit messy and all over the place. I thought about a card background print with the Star Wars black with the stars, and you get the Tantive coming across the screen. So I could do that, or I could do the classic star, you know, the black space with the stars, and have the words that crawl across the screen for A New Hope. That might look quite good, although some will be fading out and some will be big and in your face, which I obviously have to work out which way round I want that. That's my idea for a picture background and a brick background. If you've got some other ideas or some better pictures, or what could I build up in bricks around it that would look good, that would be really helpful. So yeah, let's go in close and have a little look. It does flash the doorway there, the explosion. I've left the doorway slightly open and the first Stormy is bursting in. I quite like that. I was also thinking about doing the very first shot that stormtrooper, you know how they do the explosions, the shots from the guns, but I'm not sure. I really like these red panels. I think they make it look great. They really do give it something, a pop of colour, which is very necessary in this white and grey background. And then the overhead lighting on the door. At first I wasn't sure about that, because you see these little nodules sort of hanging off, but actually they look quite good. That's an unexpected sort of bonus. So they go all the way around there. Yeah, so that's the three types of lighting. Obviously, like I say, I didn't need the Darth Vader light up lightsaber. That's the only other bit that really come in those kits. I do still need the U3PO, which will go behind these two crazy characters. Just a word on this Rebel Trooper here. Yes, I know he slipped off the edge of the display, but he's taken a rest off the edge of that. I thought that was quite cool. Just a little funny bit. I haven't really seen these, but I don't know whether people do this generally. When they want to make minifigures crouch or kneel, that was my way of making it happen. Just putting a little tiny round stud, same colour as the legs under there. Obviously the whole display is not finished. Even that part of the display is not really finished until I get that background, but it gives you an idea of how it's progressing. One more thing to show you, which I recently just had, because these little silvery clippy bits that hold the glass in, they were pushing up the whole display very slightly. I changed one area of the corner black plate that sticks out and put a corner piece in so that it's cut away, so that actually now the tile floats over the top of it, and when the doors are shut you're not going to see it. And that is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to shut the door to show you how it looks. So yeah, when I get the two more tiers in, I think that's going to look very impressive. And then when I get another display in here, another display up there. Thanks again to MixABrix for sending those over. Absolutely great. Really helps with keeping the costs down. Like I said at the beginning, I hope to do this in 2 episodes and get the whole boarding the Tantive and all their little scenes into the Besta cabinet finished. If you like what you've seen and heard, then please do, if you haven't already, like and subscribe. So thanks for watching, and see you all again soon, hopefully.